You didn't lose motivation. You lost yourself. Happy Sunday. Let me cut my diffuser off so we don't have that in the background making noise, distracting us. Happy Sunday. Happy day after 4th of July. Happy, 2 weeks after Juneteenth, all that jazz. Let's talk about it. You didn't lose motivation. You lost yourself. Yeah, I get it. You don't really want to believe that you allowed yourself to get to this point or to get to this place where you've lost yourself, and now you're like, well, what now? What next? Like, what do I do with this information? Like, how do I apply it? Where do we go from here? We're going to talk about it. Because no, you didn't wake up one day and then all of a sudden you realize that you lost yourself. It slowly happened over time, and in this slow build up or in this slow work up to this place, you got here. And now that you're here, you're like, okay, now what? Now that you're here, what next? And so that's what we're going to talk about today with today's Success Starter series, because the theme for this month, now that we've done the reset, now that we are in this back half of the year, the last 6 months of the year, the last quarter, this new month, all those things, we want to make sure that we've recommitted. Like, okay, you reset, but did you recommit it? Like, are you pushing forward? Are you going forward? Because now's that time. And, excuse me. And so we've got these careers, these jobs, these professions, and all of that. And in the course of living them, working them, and doing them, we've slowly allowed ourselves to drift away from ourselves. It wasn't intentional. It never set out to be the plan, to be the path. But some sort of way, we slowly drifted away from ourselves. And we've done it without realizing it, because again, it wasn't intentional for that to be the plan, be the place. And so we're gonna dive in. We're gonna hit on 3 quick things real quick, and we're gonna go from there. As always, we're using the Lee method. We're gonna use that framework, which is my signature framework, to kind of walk us through this process. But first, I want you to understand that busyness creates the identity that has caused this drift. What do I mean by that? So often we get consumed. I'm going to speak from the legal lens here. You plug your life and your career into it if it's not, legal related. But we get so consumed with these deadlines, with these cases, with these responsibilities, that we stop sometimes recognizing ourselves outside of work. That work becomes the entire identity, and that was never meant to be the case. So yes, you have deadlines to get these motions filed, to get these depositions set, to work through these cases. You have the cases that you have, and then maybe there are adjacent cases that sometimes have an impact on your case. Or you're still getting assigned cases even while you're trying to work up these other cases, and you have cases that are in different stages. Some are filed on, some are in jail, some are out of jail, were out of jail, now they're back in jail. Some are ready for trial. We have these different levels of where they are. Some clients want a lot of attention, some don't even bother you, all of that. And so we're balancing these different responsibilities. And then even in the midst of that, it's the summertime now. Maybe you got your kids. Your kids are out of school. And so now we don't got childcare. Now what we doing with these kids? For me, it's, I got this vacation, and some kind of way, I know how some kind of way, you're double booked, and now you're thinking about, okay, what can I do? Like, how can we move this? But you don't want to, like, this is a long weekend, for example, 4th of July weekend. Most places had Friday off. Some, I think a couple places did Monday. Some even did Friday and Monday. I wish I knew all these days off, but I didn't do this for Juneteenth. But I digress. You're at the point where we have this 4th of July weekend. We have this long weekend, and this should be the perfect time to decompress, to reset. It was perfect, especially with coming into this new month and this quarter. You're like, okay, great. I can sit down. I can start, prepping, working, or whatever. And now you like, I gotta go back to work tomorrow, and didn't I just, how did this? But here's some questions to ask yourself. Now that you realize that this you isn't this you that you set out to be, can you think back to what left first? Like, what disappeared first? Did you stop self-caring? Did you stop working out? Did you stop meal prepping? Did you stop going on vacation? Did you stop spending time with friends? What disappeared first? Like, what about you disappeared first? When was the last time that you did something that you simply enjoyed? Like, just because you could, or just because you actually enjoy that thing. Like, not because it was going to give you some reward or some accolade or some sort of validation as a result of it. And now that you realize that this drift has happened, that, you know, work has started to consume who you are and to become your identity, remind yourself, who were you? Who were you before your work became your identity? You didn't get here. Well, let me take that back. I guess you kind of did get here by accident because you weren't paying attention. And the lack of awareness and the lack of intentionality with focusing on ourselves and the work that we're doing can cause you to get to this place and to get into this space to where your identity has caused you to lose yourself. And the identity that we're talking about is the identity that you've allowed to be created and to evolve based off of you not focusing and being intentional and focusing on, you know, where you're going and all of that. And so, no, motivation isn't what you lost. You lost you. You allowed the busyness of this work that you do, this 9 to 5 that you're allowing to be 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever, child, that you're allowed to become this 24/7 thing, i.e. flow into the weekends and flow through the weekends. You've allowed that busyness to take over your identity, and now who you were before this happened is now just this career. And so, what is your identity? Like, think about when you introduce yourself. And I get it might depend on the setting or whatever the case may be, but like, how do you identify yourself? Like, who are you? Who are you? Because once you can understand who you are and who you were, then you can use this data to move forward. Because I talked about this being a reset. I talked about how, you know, the first 6 months, like June was all about this mid-year reset to prepare for these last 6 months of the year, this new quarter, this new month. And so when you think about the first half of the year, I don't want you to look at it or think about it as failure. You didn't fail. Number one, to fail is your first attempt at learning. So everything that you go through, you grow through. You're learning from. It's a process. All of that jazz. And so nothing about the first half of the year was a failure. I get that you didn't hit your goals. I get that you aren't where you want to be. I get that this isn't what you set out for this to be. That's data. That's information that you now can use to reframe the last 6 months of the year. So when I've been talking about reset and resetting and preparing for this reset in June, that's what I meant. And maybe I didn't properly articulate it now, but it's all coming together. This information collection of what worked in the past, what went good, what do I want more of, what do I not want to bring forward, what do I want less of, is the reframe. That data collection is now what you're going to use to pivot, to shift, to adjust for this new quarter, for this new month, and for really these last 6 months of the year as you lean into that. So you had these routines that you set out to create, to do, to implement, and it didn't give what it needed to give. You fell off of the routine. It wasn't working. Nothing about that is a character flaw on you. And I get you're saying, how is it not a character flaw on me when I'm the one that was supposed to show up and do the work and I didn't? That's data. Because now we need to look at that routine that you created. What was it about the routine that caused you to fall off? Did you allow that work identity to take over who you are? Because you were a person. You are a person. I don't want you. No, we're going to do it this way. You were a person who stuck to routines, who was strategic, who was intentional, who did what they said that they were going to do, and who was dependable. And you still are all of that, but now you're only at work. You used to be that in every aspect of your life and every facet of your life, and now that identity has shifted solely to you as employee, entrepreneur, business owner, you, but not in your regular life. That's one of the drifts that you can look at and you can think about, because the reality is that you're not incapable. Yeah, I get that you're burnt out and you feel stressed, you feel overwhelmed, and so because of all of that, you feel like you're not capable of doing it. But the funny thing is, you probably are so capable of doing it. That's what caused you to burn out in the first place, because you went all in and you went so hard on it that now you're in this place and space to where you're finding yourself to be stressed out because of all the things you have to do. You're incapable of doing everything, yes, but you're not incapable of doing some things. But what are you focusing on and where are you prioritizing? Because if we look at it and we really think about this first half of the year, that these first 6 months, January through June, it really showed you what about these current systems, these current routines, doesn't support your life. Maybe they did in the past, but you shifted. Every year you get a year older. Every year something changes. Realistically, it changes more than once a year, but let's just stick with once a year. Let's just stick with every 6 months, whatever. The current version of you isn't the same as the version of you that came into 2026. When I came into 2026, I was 35. I had a birthday now. I'm 36. I'm not the same version of me. Like, age aside, my hair's gotten longer. The weight has changed. The responsibilities at work have, like, I came into 2026 with one set of cases. Those aren't the same cases that I have now. Where those cases are in the prep for trial reign or what's going on with them are all different. Because some didn't exist when I came in, and some that existed then no longer exist. Day by day, life changes, life shifts. I resolved the case last week. Well, I guess 2 weeks ago now. But so now that doesn't exist. Like, I resolved the case in June that don't exist in July. So that's additional space or capacity that I have, because that case that I resolved was a case that I was going to be prepping for trial. So now I've created space and time that I previously did not have based off of this. And so you're looking and you're thinking about, okay, what needs to change? Like, what needs to shift? And so we got to do something. We got to do something. We have to take this data, take this information, and use it. We have to stop being people who are just collecting. We got to just stop collecting facts, collecting information, and doing nothing with it. We need to actually put it to use. And in what way are you doing that? Because, yes, we have this data, but now that we have it, you have awareness. Okay, great. We've got awareness. That's only the beginning of change, because you can't rebuild what you refuse to acknowledge. And so we've collected this data. We've, asked ourselves, what was our identity and what is our identity? And maybe even more importantly, what do we want our identity to be? We've reflected back on the first 6 months of the year, and we've identified the issues. And no, it's not failure, it's data. And so now that you have all this awareness about the shift and the change in the identity, what's not in alignment, what needs to change, what failed, so that you can learn from it and use this data, okay. Awareness is the beginning of change. Now that you're aware about it, what are you going to do about it? Because we've looked, we've examined, and so the change is the execution. And so if we're aware of this information and aware of what's going on and have this data, what are we going to do with it? Okay. You can't rebuild what you refuse to acknowledge. And so I want you to really identify for yourself what feels heavy, like what's stressing you out, what's overwhelming you, what's pulling you down, what isn't giving what it needs to give, what's not working. What about the systems? What about the routines? What about the structure is no longer working for you in this season? We collected this data to be able to say and identify, like, what's staying here? What am I not carrying with me into July, into Q3, into the last 6 months of this year? Because we have to do something different. Something has to change, and it's on us to make the change in order for something to change. But the question is, will you do the thing that needs to be done to make that change? Because I don't know about you, but for me, I'm a constant and consistent growing person. Like, I realize that I have to make these adjustments and make these shifts and make these pivots. And that's on a week-to-week basis, honestly, at some points. But if the first half of this year showed you anything, it likely showed you that something has to change. And if it didn't show you that, more power to you. I'm not really sure why you're here, because the whole point of this live is for you to understand that it was you. The whole point of this live was for you to understand that it wasn't motivation that you lost yourself. So if you're here, if you're watching this, then the first half of the year did show you that something has to change. But are you going to make the change? Like, what are you going to do with this information now that you have it? You can identify what's shifting. You can identify what's drifting. And as a coach, like as a productivity and accountability coach, my work and my job is to help you to create a life that your career can't destroy. And so we're at this place of awareness and understanding that work has become my identity, or work has taken over my identity, even if it has not become my identity. And as a result of that, I've started collecting data to show me what needs to shift and what needs to change. If you're ready for that change, i.e., I've had this awareness and I'm like, okay, something's got to give, but I'm ready for it to give. That's the work that I do. We can work together to really identify where you float and drifting, like where are you out of alignment. And now that you have this awareness, we can work together to build a strategy, a better strategy, a strategy that's going to actually work together. The work that I do as a coach is specific to you. Yes, we have a framework. We have this philosophy. We have all of this. We have these teaching points. But the way that this, just like I said, I'm going to use these legal examples, plug your career in. The same way I say that, like we're going to, in working together one-on-one, we really get to get down to the nitty-gritty to really understand, like, okay, what about this didn't work? Have you tried this? Okay, let's try this. Okay, you tried that didn't work, or it worked but you didn't like how it felt. Let's adjust. Let's shift. That's the work that I do. That's why one-on-one coaching is so important to me, because I want us to build a better strategy, a strategy that you can actually use, implement, work with, work through, and it's going to work for you. Because you're in a different season. And as you're in a different season, you need different strategies. You need different structures, because we've identified, we've talked through identifying, maybe you fully identified. What about the first 6 months was good? What do you want more of? And what was not so good and you don't want no more of that? That's the work that we've done so far. That's where we're at. And now that we're sitting in this place, it's time to either take action or get out the pot. Like, awareness is nothing without change. Okay, you just gonna keep driving around with the check engine light on? Aware that there's a problem but doing nothing about it? Okay. More power to you. More power to you. So if you're ready to change and if you're ready for change, I'm here. I'm not gonna chase you. Like, you're here listening, attracted to this, vibing with this, off of this, whatever word you want to use, child. You're here for a reason. It's resonating with you for a reason. The question is, what are you gonna do about it? So if you really want to do something about it, you can comment the word "otter," send me a DM, send me a voice note. I would say send me like a flare in the sky, but then that means I can chase you and I need to know that you're seeking me. But send me a message, let's have a conversation. This isn't about starting over. This is about you coming back to yourself. That identity work. The identity that has shifted, that has drifted away. And so, yeah. That's what I wanted to pop on here and talk to you about. And I guess when you're like, well, what does this have to do with the motivation part? You felt that in this data collection point, that the reason that I'm stuck, the reason that I'm having these problems is that I'm just not motivated. But where are you seeking the motivation? Really, the fact that you're not motivated really kind of comes back to the fact that you drifted. That it's essentially, it's draining you, and because it's draining you, it's not in alignment, it doesn't feel good, so therefore you're not motivated to continue to do it, to want it, to seek it, and all of the things. So yeah, you didn't lose motivation, you lost yourself, and now it's time to come back to yourself, to find yourself, to reset, to regroup. And so I'm Coach Lee, your productivity and accountability coach, here to help you to create a life that your career and your business can't destroy. And that work looks like you understanding that you've lost yourself, but we can find yourself again in the work that I do. So you can comment the word audit, send me a DM, all the things, whatever's the most convenient for you. Let's have a conversation. Let's get you on the calendar. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk, and let's talk it out. And so, yeah, this is your turning point. We halfway through the year. It's time to, take action, or to, to get out the pot. And so we'll be back next Sunday again for Success Starter Series. And until then, Coach Lee.